let's have a look on that also before we begin anything. Because active workflow does not allow you to upgrade. So if I'm not wrong, that step should be there. Upgrade. Upgrade base app. Uncheck precondition. Create workflow. No, it does not exist now, but it used to exist in NAV that on precondition check of upgrade, it used to verify that does that table have any active instance or not. And from a Microsoft perspective, and we'll have to check that because there is this tool. What is that? Record deletion tool. What is that tool? I forgot. But you remember where it automatically truncates the data? Management maybe. There are so many features now, so that it kind of gets lost in translation sometime. But okay, there is an option here which talks about retention policies. Yes. So if Microsoft have added that table here, Microsoft is then saying that yes, the data of this table is something that you can delete. So let's see if I try to add a new, what are the option tables here? So yes, the workflow step instance archive is set from Microsoft to where you can set a retention policy, which means that it's not that critical to any of your processes.
Okay.
The archive one.
So when the data gets deleted from the main table, like from sales header, then the workflow steps moves to archive table.
Archive. Okay. Okay. And I guess till now we are able to trace the approval status more or less from the approval entries. So I don't think we ever have to come to workflow step instance archive to see what instance has been executed.
Right. It seems like the
So,
value would
yeah.
only be if you were troubleshooting why something wasn't working right, or it wasn't
Yeah.
doing what you thought. You could trace the steps in there, I suppose.
And the only time I have seen the problems on that table is when there are custom workflows and they are not written in the right way. So what happens? There are these tables kind of as soon as you trigger a workflow, not define that, but let's say when you click on send approval request, at that point that table fills in that for this record, these are the steps that need to go through, and at this point, this workflow will be considered as completed. So that's how the workflow remembers which steps to execute next. I guess that's why they build it. So let's see that table one. Go ahead.
You can also in a workflow user group, there's a sequence field, right?
Right.
And there's kind of a workaround to maybe put 3 people in there and put their sequence all one, right? So they'll all 3 get a notification, and the first one that clicks it basically approves it. But that seems to leave records behind too, and approval entries. Or do they bother anything, or?
So the way, let me think. So one, when you create all 3 as one, no, it doesn't bother, because based on this, that should complete that workflow. So like right now, the workflow step instance is empty. Okay, and let's check when it gets filled in. If I define a workflow, I'm pretty sure it is not going to create any records into it. So let's say if I say sales order approval, okay, and I can't just enable it. So where is that in this one? Yeah, approval chain.
Specifically West.
Yeah, let's keep it easy. There's no one here, so let me add myself. Oh, I can't add myself because then that'll be a problem.
You can add. It will auto approve.
Yeah, I'll auto approve. So
it will auto approve.
Yeah, I'll go and add one. Where is the admin? Now, normally there are users, right? Let me go to users and just pull these standard
No.
Steve and other things.
No.
No? There should be.
Does it come from? It's a CDX.
Yeah, it's a CDX.
And
So
then
if I
yes.
go into
Then yes.
active user
yes.
and then let's say pick Alan and enable him for Business Central. Come on, Alan. Where are its permissions? Licenses. Oh, Alan even have a picture. Let's add him for Business Central. Let's save the change. Come on. Okay, done. Let's update it. Okay. It didn't find anyone. Oh, it found now. Okay. So now we have Ellen here as another user. So now I can go back in here, and at this point, I should be able to add a new user, which is Ellen. So when we use this, this will then set it up for Ellen. Okay. So we enabled it. Let's quickly look at it. I think it should be empty still now. It should. And why it is opening my company? Bad. Okay, but let's have this enabled. While that is loading up, we'll go and create a sales order. Till that, there will be a sales order, I guess. Table info. Okay. And here we have a sales order which is open. So that's good. A little bit slow today. Okay. Table name. Workflow. Step. And okay, Cronus USA. Oh, workflow step is this. Workflow instance. Step instance. And where is this table? Other time for USA. This is so it still have 0. Okay. Now, but when I click on this and say send for approval, what is that button? Not here. Prepare. What is that? Print. No. Request approval. Okay. Send approval request. Oh man. Okay. Okay. Why I set this up for what I did? Document pending approval. Create a request, not salesperson. Approver, specific approver, edit. Okay. Let's enable this. Okay. And let's send the approval request. So the approval is sent. Now, if we refresh this, we should see records here based on the sequence of steps that need to be executed. And I guess as Sandeep sir was saying, as the approval is complete, I guess then they go ahead and move to the archive table. Now all this is kind of true from, so yeah, here it is. Now it gives you all the detail about the workflow that it is working on this record ID. So this is it. Now this is the entry point where it started. And that's where these statuses are complete. And then here there will be an exit point also somewhere, or end or completion point, something like that. Inactive response sequence number. It is getting bigger as I move towards right. I think there was a complete step, but okay, now this is the active instance, which means somebody need to approve it. And then these are inactive, they will be active based on whatever the response comes from here. So these are the next possible actions that a workflow will execute. And based on when those actions are executed, these will come to completed and some will remain inactive all the time because some things did not happen. Like if somebody approved it, then only the approval part will run. If somebody rejects it, or if somebody, what do you call that, sends it to someone else, delegate, then those activities will run. So that's how it is. And I guess if I cancel this or if I call this off, let's call this off. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, I'd be interested to see if it clears too when if you approve
No,
it.
it'll not. So because the cancel is one of the option in the workflow, so that action would have been executed right now. So let's go back and execute here, the separate tab. So the maximum number of the row version it is. Okay. So 229 to 248. What are the steps? Oh, this table is now empty.
Right. That's what I would have thought, because it's not an
Right.
active request anymore, right? When you cancel it, it's
Yeah.
not active. I don't know whether it went to the archive, but
Let's see that. Sandeep sir, you were saying something?
Archive. That's it.
Archive. Let's have a look on the archive.
Yeah.
it might not archive
Oh, it
canceled,
did.
but yeah.
It did.
So I guess it archives everything, huh?
Yeah.
And
It archives
if you
everything.
create a sales order, send approval is done, and then sale order is invoiced and deleted, even then it comes here.
So I guess
Yeah. So
anytime,
anytime it's completed, yeah, or cancelled.
or even I guess you initiate it, you cancel it, you approve it.
Yeah. So this table, as we are seeing on that screen, and I guess that's why I'm saying this, that if it is available in that, what is that, record, whatever management, retention policies, yes, I forget about that all the time. If that table is available, then Microsoft is saying that yes, this is the table that is an archive table and you can delete them. So 1530 is done. You can set it to clear if needed.
Okay.
And the step instance will remain there till the document is active.
Okay. Thanks. This was good.
Yeah, we learned something new also. Okay, so this is cancelled. Let me go back and disable that. It does not bug us if we are doing something. But yeah, from a workflow perspective, I think Microsoft is also thinking from moving all the approvals, which is a lot of code in Business Central, to Power Automate, because there is a continuous improvement in that direction from Microsoft in every release. So maybe that's the route that we should start looking at it from an approval perspective. I don't know what you guys think, but that's what my guess is at this point.
That's what I think too, at least, as they're going forward.
Yeah. Okay. So any other questions before we get into it? Otherwise, we'll just jump into what else is remaining. Okay then. So last release, if you remember, I was super happy with one feature, which was delocalization of apps. And I'm super happy that Microsoft is still doing it. So this version, Microsoft is doing it on Iceland. So starting, I guess, December 2023, this year, Iceland custom or localization piece will also be removed from the base app, and they'll get into a model like India is right now, W1 and then IN localization. Last year they did it for Swedish localization. This year it's Iceland. Hopefully in the next release there are more and more countries going that route, and someday North America, Canada, and other countries. There are quite a few countries in that list where their localization is part of the base app. And this seems a new initiative, which is very interesting because then you technically keep the W1 as common to all the tenants that are available. So not something that bothers us, any one of us at this moment, but at least people who are not working in that environment, like who have customers in North America, Canada, and I guess Germany is also in that list and all. Be ready, this will come up. The localization will be separated out from the base app, and now you'll be able to kind of, your apps will be more or less compatible to all the regions. And you might have a separate app for your localization, which is dependent on that localization extension. But then you can have a W1 app, which can work across anywhere, whosoever is using it. So that makes it a little bit cleaner. So I'm always happy when Microsoft does this. And this is the second time they're doing it. And I hope they keep doing that. Okay, now let's talk about some small, pretty small ones, but important ones. Field groups. In the past, till BC22, we were only able to add a new field in the existing field group, which can be a brick view or a drill down view that exists in the table. Let me open my VS Code so that I can tell you what I'm saying. So let's say there is this table, let's say customer. Okay. It's weird. Okay. Let's pick any of these. Okay. Now this is a table, customer sales buffer. And this one does not have it, which is nice. That'll help me in another example that I'm going to talk about. Okay, customer. So in a table, there is always this area called field groups. There are two field groups that are available, and this is legacy nav also, that you have a field group of type dropdown and another field group of type brick. The dropdown get activated when you do a drill down on a field. So the fields that you see in that drill down are these fields. So when you do a customer drill down, you'll see all these fields. The brick view is used in two places. When you activate on your web client a brick view, which is the tile view or whatever we call it, this one, this activates the brick view for the web client. And the similar view is actually used in your phone client. So what you see on that view, the tall view or tile view, whatever you want to call it, that is something comes from this property. So when you do a customer list in this mode, all the fields that you're seeing here are defined in this way. Now, till BC22, we were only able to add a new field at the end of the field group, either on the drop down or brick. But then there was another problem that there are some tables like this. Now this is a buffer table, so this does not fall in that category. But let's say standard text is a table, which we have ended up adding some customization for some needs and having a lookup of that field, and there is no field group available on that table. Now till BC22, we technically cannot add a new field group using table extension. But now starting BC23, if there is not a field group available in a table, you'll be able to add that. If there is already a field group defined like this, the rules of the game will remain same. So if I have to add, let's say, a field group to this table, and I create a, the buttons in this. Okay, there's already a namespace, so let's create a new file. Okay, if I create a table extension, and that is on this table. Okay. Okay. And let's see. Okay. And if I now try to add a field group in here, I should be able to add a new field group, not this, but like this. Let me see. Well, that's what Microsoft is saying. Okay, will fail. Why it is failing? Okay, but it says by using table extension. Okay, so the only way that I can still add it is using the add last. Okay, and then choose the field group that I want, which is brick or drop down, and then define all the fields that I want to add. So now I can see all the base fields also, which are defined in that table. The field which are here will also be accessible in this area, and I'm not dependent only adding the my custom field. Now, because this table does not have a drop down, with this it'll add a drop down into that table when you try to add that table reference somewhere for a lookup entity. The way Microsoft says, and let me open that link here, is core table. The way this will work is by using the add last, so we will be only utilizing that. However, if the field group does not exist on the table, which is being extended, it'll be created based on the field list that you have defined here in the add last section. If multiple table extensions each add if fields in the field group, the field group will contain the merge result. So if you are also extending a table in your extension and I'm also extending a table in my extension, and both are defining the field group, it'll just generate a merged result of your fields and my fields. But it'll be done in the order extensions were loaded. First app source app and then PTs. So if there is an app source app that is adding a field group to this table using table extension, and if I'm also doing that, their fields will be visible first, and then the PTs fields will be visible. Okay. It was causing problem because there are so many Microsoft table where there is not this property, and when you try to start customizing that table and view for users, that becomes a problem. So this solves that problem going forward. Okay. Anything on this one? Anybody got stuck with this situation? I surely did once, but that should get solved in the future. Okay, one around user accessibility. What they have done is, and they keep doing on this area, I don't know why, that when you open multiple tabs on your screen for Business Central, it'll be able to give you more details than just uh, the, earlier it used to just call Business Central tabs, this customer. But if you look at it, this will change as I start navigating on the record. So if I'm on a customer card, it'll change that to which customer I am in, and it'll give you more details about it. So this tab kind of description of that tab will change as you start navigating on your screen. And they, as per their documentation, it says that it'll be able to help users who have multiple tabs open, so they can just see at the ribbon which entity is open on which tab. Pretty small one, nothing major. Okay, what else? They have also added capabilities of copying these links in a better way. So when you do a copy link, it gives you more detail about the record where you are in and tables, nothing major into it. But the links will be pretty more descriptive. Keys. Keys was a problem for people who are working on the code. So if I'm creating, let me undo that. If I'm creating a variable here for, let's say, customer, and I need to know which keys I have while I'm writing some code. Okay. Now I should be able to, what happened here? Okay, so I'm playing with this somehow. So let me change this to. Whenever you use a method which needs a reference of the key, this should start supporting you with the keys that they have. Doesn't do that at this point. Is the IntelliSense should support you if you start typing the word key here. So now you don't have to go to the actual table and see what keys are there. The IntelliSense, just by using the keyword K in the reference of keys, wherever, whichever keywords need a reference to the keys, will show you all the keys in that table, and then you can pick and choose which key makes sense while whatever code you are writing. IntelliSense got a lot of enhancement in this release. When you are writing a method, so like let's utilize something, and mail message is somewhere where there are so many overloads. Okay. So like this create, and in the past what we used to do is we used to rely on this. Okay, so there are 4 overloads or 4 different ways how you can create a email message. Now every time while I'm creating an email message, I have to see which one I need and then remember those parameters as I'll need it. So my style was that I'll copy this and put it as a comment here. So that'll make my life simpler. But now if I know that, okay, I'm going to use this one, the IntelliSense will remember that I'm utilizing this one. And as I start typing values, it'll start suggesting the right one that I'm in right now. So if I change my style right now and define a parameter which matches to another definition. So let's see what is the other one. Okay, this is list of text, so this will not be supported. But okay, let's say I'm on the second one and I'll not use the HTML formatted. So if I do a demo here and then the body is demo, and then don't do anything at this point, it should automatically it suggests me where I'm going at that point while I'm typing this. So while working with these method overloads, you don't have to go and again check it because IntelliSense is there to help you. Okay, so a new setting for people who work on multiple apps into the same workspaces, or where there is a cross dependencies into between apps, and you want to make sure that your apps. So what happens is when you generate an app by using Control-Shift-B, the app kind of gets generated into the same folder where you are in. Right, so let me remove this for a while. Starts compiling. And that is this. Okay, let's remove this also. Let's see what the error is. Okay. Where it is defined. Do I have that defined? No. Okay. Let's remove this. Okay. So typically what happens is when I try to do a build, it kind of generates here. And now this will also help people who are using Dockers and CI/CD pipeline, that they have ways to kind of place their apps into a different folder if they need. So what you can do now is you can add a settings.json like in your project if you want it to the project perspective, Or if you want to set it at a user perspective, then you can define that in your user settings.json. In that, there are so many settings available, but like in your AL, there is a compilation options, yes. And there are other settings also. So like these are other settings, but the new setting that has been added is the output folder. Here you can define a different folder where you want your app. So let me see if I can find my folder, if I have something. Okay, so I have a folder on my D drive. Let me bring that here. Okay. I have this folder on my D drive called DC apps. Anytime I as a user, and if I define it at the user level, whenever I use my VS Code and try to run the Control Shift B process to generate my app, all these apps will go into this folder. So let's delete this. So when I do a Control Shift B now, it should not generate that app here. It actually gets and sits here. Now, if somebody else is working on an app who's taking the dependency from this app, because in the last release they added that from where you want to pick the AL packages, you don't have to also to rely on this folder. So now you can kind of create a global folder in your machine where you can keep updating these references as multiple projects may have dependencies with other apps. Now, this is not something that if you're not working on a dependent app scenario will help you. But just keep in mind that you can also change the AL package settings from where it will pick the references. And you can now also change where your apps will be generated from VS Code. Okay. A small one, and I'm just trying to knock off the simple ones so that we don't get into it. Like when you are on an object and when you try to hover over it, it kind of tells you the detail about it for the record variable and others. In this release, they also added that capability of hovering over a label. So if you have a label defined in your object and you want to see what is the text constant attached to it, you can just hover over it like you do, like I'm doing right now, and give you the text associated with that label. That only works on your apps. So don't assume that if you get into Microsoft app and into the symbols of those app, you'll be able to do it on any other object, because that's not how it works. It just will work on your PTEs or app source app that you are developing and where you have the source code. So somewhere in this object, this will be defined. So let's just copy this as it is. Okay. Paste it here. And I'm pretty sure somewhere we would have used this label. Yeah. So if I'm here and I don't know what this label is, I can just hover over here and see what the label text associated with it. You don't have to go and, like in the past, I used to go and search like this to see what the text is attached to it. But as I said, this will only be available for the apps that you own the source code. You can't expect this behavior in a app that you are referring to, like any other object for that matter. Okay, what else is here? This is something which I have tested, but I don't know much about it. So maybe I'll need you guys' help on this. That what is the? I did read Microsoft article about it. I didn't find much info, but they kind of partially introduce it in the last release. And this is where you can change your posting group at the transaction level.
It's a wonderful feature.
It's a wonderful feature. Okay, I'll take your words on word on it. Okay.
So SAP AX or FNO already has
Okay.
this, and it is required by business.
Okay, and I guess this is where I have to set this up.
Still sensible setup.
So yeah, let me go and show it to others on vendors or purchase orders. So till PC22, as of the current product release, which is available, when you are on your sales and purchase document, you see this area. Where is that?
You have to enable it in purchase and payable setup.
But I should be able to see that disabled here somewhere, right?
No, no, no,
Mm,
no. That field will
yeah,
be
here it
visible
is.
only. Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
So till now, it is set to be disabled. This setting is coming from your vendor card, and in the same way from your customer card, and you can't change it at the transaction level. Now, as Sandeep sir was saying, you can either go into sales or receivable set, not either, based on where you want to activate it, or purchase and payable setup. Here, there is a new option added, which is check multiple
Multiple.
posting group.
Allow
Allow.
multiple.
Okay, yeah, allow.
Yeah.
Allow multiple posting group. Now, as I'm seeing this, I'm also seeing the other field which I'm saying check multiple posting group. That means technically behind the scene, it has been implemented with interface. So developers in the call, if you want to build, or if a customer says, I want to change the logic, how the multiple posting group work, you using the interface that is available for this feature will be able to define your implementation if needed. I'm not saying you have to do it. There is the default implementation that is coming from Microsoft. But if you want, you'll be able to define your own implementation of using the multiple posting group. Now, if you enable it here, what happens with that? Technically speaking, nothing, because there is a two-part setting. One at the company level, which you have set on the sales and purchase level. And then you also have to go to your vendor. And here, there is also a Boolean, if I'm not wrong. Invoicing.
Yeah, invoicing tab.
There's no setting
Yeah,
here,
third.
right? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, here.
there is. Allow.
Allow multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first is you enable it at a company level on the setup pages. Then you can decide which customer or vendor you want this to be allowed. It is not open by default for everyone. Okay. Now, once you have enabled it, it will now should show you this field as enable here. And there is only one. Okay, so that's bad. Let me create a new one. Test one, and let me create a new one, test two. I said okay. But if I change it to test one right now, it gives
It's
me an error, but you cannot do it.
because you have to go in posting group and define against that domestic
Yes.
what all is allowed.
Yeah. So now what you have to do is you need to go to your vendor, not to the vendor to be very frank, but go to your posting group. Mm, Here it is.
Go domestic. Yeah. Open the list.
Show full list. Here it is. And in this, there is a new option here to define alternate posting group against domestic. Now can choose multiple posting group if I need, test one, test two if needed. And now here is my confusion, and here Sandeep sir and others can help you. Now what I was testing is if this is the setup, right? I have said that alternate to domestic is test one. Okay. So now when I come back to my document, I'll be able to choose.
Can you also define the payable account there in rest of the groups?
Okay. Let's do that.
Go to yeah.
Edit this list. And what should I do? Anything else?
Same. Let it
Same
be same.
accounts? Okay.
Yeah.
There is a new
But it
button here,
doesn't.
right? I also said, where is that button?
Which one?
There was a button to suggest or something. I saw it somewhere. I don't know what. Edit view related. Only this? Okay. Maybe I'm missing it with something else, but okay. Let's see. Will not be like this in the system.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sandeep sir, this
Not
will do.
required. Rest of the accounts. Yeah, this
Okay.
will do.
Okay. So now I'm here and I'm changing it to test one. And it'll allow me. I cannot change it to test two. That's okay.
You can.
Makes sense. Yeah, I haven't said that as alternate.
Okay.
Okay. But here is my confusion that you will have to create a loop. Because now I cannot go back to domestic because test one does not have a alternate defined as domestic. So what my assumption
Yeah.
is that whenever you're doing that in the setup, make sure that you cross or you know create another loop that my domestic alternative is test one and my test one alternative is domestic.
Can you delete it?
Let me see. I don't think so. Yeah, we cannot leave it empty. Okay. So my
Oh,
understanding is that when I go here and I just unintentionally tested this. I had no plans, but I think I can go here and I also have to do domestic here so that the user, if they did any mistake, they'll be able to switch between these two. So now I can go back to domestic if I was just testing this and vice versa. So I can move between these posting group and we all know this that based on these different accounts are selected or used during posting. So the Microsoft documentation says and read it. Let's read it. And as Sandeep sir was saying, it's a nice feature. So here is the business value. It says sometimes business want to post payable and receivable transaction to a different GL account. That is one that is specified on the customer or vendor posting group. Example, in a case where the transaction is a bad debt, controllers can define policies for posting these non-standard transactions. An accountant can change them during posting. Okay. As I was saying, you can set it up on sales and purchase, and then you can utilize these. And you also have to enable it on the customers or vendor. It says this feature is currently only available for developers and can't be yet turned on production environment. So it's still work in progress. There might be new or more enhancement or testing that Microsoft is doing on it. But
it's
let's see when that bakes in. Maybe next release. Who knows?
it's pending for
Yes, sir.
last two releases.
Okay.
I promised the customer in last year October that this feature is coming. I will deliver. Then it got postponed to March or April, and now to
Mhm.
October. Customer is
My
waiting,
confusion is
and we are also waiting too.
my confusion is
It's a
in
good.
SaaS it makes sense that they will be able to control who can enable it and who cannot. But how they can control it on-prem?
What?
That
The
you
code
cannot
doesn't come in
enable it on
on-prem.
production. Sorry?
On-prem, they don't release it. The code doesn't come.
No, it should be there.
No,
As
no,
far
it's
as
not
my
there.
understanding, the source code is more or less same, right? I'll test it
I will
out
have to check,
once
but
once the
I
product
can
is
check.
out. Or it was also there in BC22, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, the fields were there, but the code was not there. The main problem what I am aware of is they're facing problems with localizations. So what happens is if you do cross transactions of different posting groups, and when you apply them, then it creates a balancing entry, and that is where localization is creating problems.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because mm, I'm 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 always a little bit confused when they say that this is not available for production. How does that statement becomes valid for on-prem? And I'll have to check. I don't have an on-prem running right now, but we'll see it. Because that's an interesting way of thinking of how they can control, like the whole feature around pricing change. I guess now you can enable it on production, but it was in the sandbox for a very long time. So Sandeep, sir, go back to your customer and tell him they again have to wait for a while. And
No,
yes,
we
click
don't
with
know.
us.
It can get released, right?
No, that's what the Microsoft documentation right now is saying. You know,
Uh, the date, you can
uh,
see the date of release in the note.
yeah. what was that feature? Multiple something like
Posting group. You can search it with posting, I believe.
posting group. No, let me see.
It's used different general ledger accounts for payable and receivable. It's the
Yes.
8th or 9th record, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I found it. Let me open it here. Here it is. So here it says that this feature is currently available only for developers. Now this note is for this coming release, or this is going to
So
be
public
released. I
preview is
don't know.
6 and general availability is October 2023. But that's how it has been always.
Is it in the
So there
feature
was
management or not?
no, not there. I don't think it is there.
Okay. And that should be right now enabled for me. Okay, enable model action bar, approval. Not here. That's kind of waiting for a very long time. Oh, so they removed it from here. Okay, that's interesting. That it is not here. Okay, enable use of new extensive. Oh, that's posting engine. Legacy view.
It's no longer there. No longer here.
Yes, so they removed it. So from Microsoft perspective, it's kind of live at this moment, right? Which is okay.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully, yes. What is this? I haven't read about it ever. Enable
It's
TryState
very
Locking
less
layer.
information.
No. Yeah, what is this? Okay, they bring you to this page, but okay, this is interesting to see what this brings in. And it
Click on
should
learn more.
automatically. No, it's
Click on
taking me
learn
to
more.
generic documentation. When I click on it,
Gives you one more. I've seen this document somewhere. You can Google it, and there was some article over it. I just read it. It was something related with locking.
yeah,
They are
logging
going
is
to enable
something
it
which
later.
is always interesting.
So it will do away with this entry number concept basically.
Oh yeah, I was reading that in the code. So the whole number series objects have changed drastically, right?
Mm.
TryState locking. Okay, so what is TryState locking? With the limited relationship between writes and reads, it is possible to create a solution that allow you higher concurrency level for reads, while still allow you to heighten the consistency when a specific scenario required. Okay. All reads have the read uncommitted hint applied automatically, it seems, as long as no writes has been done to the table in current stage, nor lock table called on a record of type table. If writes has been done against the table in the current transaction, further reads will have the read committed hint applied. If lock table has been called on a record of type table in the current transaction, further read will have update lock hint applied. So till the point I don't write anything on a record, it's reading uncommitted. But reading uncommitted, okay, makes sense. Till the point I'm doing a find first, and it's find first is okay. But what if I'm doing a find set? Because a find set kind of what? 50 records at a time?
It doesn't matter. It will still be uncommitted records because you have not modified.
But somebody else, some other process is writing the records right now, let's say, while I'm trying to read it.
That can be true for even find first, right?
Yes, that can be true for the find first because it's just the shorting based on the primary key. Okay, it's interesting. We'll have to read it because Locking always, whenever Microsoft changes something, and in the past at least, when they changed locking, there had been some problems.
That's why it's 2 versions away.
Yeah, it's too much away. Okay, but yeah, not to deflect from that, but as we were talking about this, and people who haven't seen this yet, go to your AL Explorer and look for the number series management code unit or objects related to number series, because that code is changing very drastically at this moment. They are not using those default locks and other things. They're using something else. Get next number something, I guess the next number. Yeah. Now this get next number is using this do guess next number. What is this? Okay. They introduced something else for this. I forgot where that was. But you have customs on that area. Be aware that they're going to be some changes in this area, the whole number series area. They understand that this area causes a good amount of locking into the systems, so they're trying to rephrase or rewrite this whole code. Okay, where is this? There's no documentation at this point. But yeah, the whole number series area is going through a good amount of change, and it'll not it'll not be as simple as change as it seems at this moment. Okay. Anything else interesting that we have heard? Yeah, that on that these text editor now you have more capabilities available, I guess. That is one again a small change. Um, so now rich text capabilities will now allow you to, like in the email editor, if you look at it, you can do font and style formatting. But with this built-in editor, all media fields, like you can copy paste images and all into these text boxes or fields. Right now, they'll support multi-line text, but not in full screen mode, and have a rich content toolbar intended for multimedia scenarios. But I'm hoping they reach to a point where we don't have to create these control add-ins to kind of preview a PDF which is generated. And I don't know you guys have done it or not, but that was a requirement where they wanted to see the preview of the document or the report in the uh, page itself. So we used a control add-in, ran the report, saved it into a PDF, and then PDF was put into the control add-in for visibility. Hopefully, once this kind of bakes in completely, we'll be able to use built-in fields for that. So let's see what this brings in as it comes out with this release, and we'll see that. Anything interesting? Anyone that you have
Uh,
seen which we haven't talked about?
have we discussed AL support for Azure DevOps?
AL support for Azure DevOps. Where is that?
Yeah, that is their new thing added.
Get syntax
Syntax
highlighted for
highlighting.
AL. AL in Azure.
These are two things which they added: teaching tooltips for queries and reports, request page, and this is not
Okay.
working.
This is not working. Oh, this is not
Not
even
working.
working. Okay.
But again, the idea is it will give you highlights in when you're doing code merge or code review in DevOps.
Okay. Let's see if we can zoom this.
It doesn't make sense, but I've read the text which they have given. Yeah,
Yeah.
the highlighted one. Yeah.
Syntax highlighting really important in the source, including AL. Until now, we have highlighted inside but not in Azure DevOps, which is used a lot of partners. There's all in plain text. This so it's coming on DevOps, not in Business Central.
Yeah, that's what the topic is. AL support
Okay.
for DevOps, basically.
So it'll not be a plain text, which it is as of today. It'll be a
Yeah.
more rich text. The other thing, which is again a small setting on your VS Code, and I think we all should enable it, at least for me, people like me who kind of get confused about what this method returns and all. They added a new key into it, and let me see if I have it here. Mm, it's called inline something. Is it this? No. Okay, maybe this one. Inline editing or something. No, not this one. Okay, let me see if I have it somewhere written. Because that helps you to kind of understand what kind of return value your methods have, what you are trying to write, and what kind of values it will return when you're trying to write it. And that is, it's also IntelliSense. So maybe it's in IntelliSense. IntelliSense has got a lot of things this time. Adding variables in debugger, that's nice. Smarter method, we have talked about it. Yeah, no, we haven't talked about it, and this is what it is, I guess. No, we did talk about this one, so this is not that one. Namespace conflict, list of keys, built-in text editor, new field group, and app source app. So output, yeah, inlay hint of maybe this. Yeah, this is it. So the new setting is called inlay hints. Okay, so what you can do here is I can do a comma and do a in a hint, and there are two things: parameter names and function return type. So you can set it to true, and then the same way inlay hint for parameter name to true. Now what happens with this is when you're writing some code. Let's see if I have some code somewhere. 50100. Okay. And what happened to this one? What is the valid number series? 60,000. Okay. If I create a variable of my return date, and I define that as okay, one. Okay. Let me reload this. If that setting is activated, which I did, it should show me what value this method is returning. I don't have to wait for it and see it. It'll show me here. I've enabled it here. It should be reading my
Workspace load. Let the workspace load.
yeah. So now if you see here, it'll automatically tell me that what the calling function will return you. Okay, so let's try using table and utilizing a method. I call vendor dot and let's say this. So I now know that this function somehow will return a decimal. So I need to make sure that okay, I define the return decimal here so that I can utilize that. And these will always stick here when you're writing your code. They will always be available for you to kind of understand what these different methods are returning. That'll work on both on the parameter names that you're using, if there are parameters, and the return types. So let's try utilizing something which have a parameter.
Number series.
Yeah, link customer number is code. Number. Tell me. Okay, let me see what happens when we do that. Okay, so now it tells me that the variable in the calling function is called linked customer number, and it will be returning a decimal, and you need to set the linked customer number here. So it kind of helps you as you are typing your values into your methods. Okay. Anything else before we leave?
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
If you would like, I don't know.
Yeah.
In the same new features, there's something on the concurrency limits and service. Go to service part.
Service.
Okay.
Just one
Can you
heads
scroll
up
down?
so that I don't forget
Yeah.
about it. I'll not be meeting next week. I'm leaving tomorrow early morning for Chennai for a team meetup. So I'll be back on Sunday. So next week we'll not meet. Yes, sir.
The first 2 points I've added now.
New operation limit on scheduled task and service to service on device application. The other thing that we also need to talk about, and I haven't tested it out, which is that you can now connect to multiple Dataverse environments, right? And you can companies with the same Dataverse environment. So this is also important. I'll need to test this out. I did not have an environment yet. But what are these limits? New 5 concurrent tasks are per user expected this. Till now it is 3 concurrent tasks. Okay. Speed limit for web service requests, 600 web service requests per environment per minute. That is increased to 6,000 per user in the previous 5-minute sliding window. And web service request, 100 concurrent handled web service requests, 100 concurrent handled per user. Okay, earlier it was per environment, now it is per user. That's nice. That changes a lot
Good
of
for
things.
integration, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Where we have bulk load of data that need to be input, you don't end up with issues with the limit. So 3 per environment to 5 per user is a huge change. And same here, 200 per environment to 100 per user. And here 600 to 6,000. Great. Service to service app.
Basically, this is for devices.
Oh, device license that was there. Okay.
Yeah. For both, you can have license assigned to service accounts and to devices.
Okay. This is nice. Yeah, so these all kind of helps in the integration. I'm looking forward to kind of test out this Dataverse one also, because that is also will help.
Yeah, all tables coming up, physical tables will be available as virtual. That is something we need to test.
The only problem that I see there is very much limitation of how or where I can use those virtual tables in my Dataverse. Because I was trying to use them on Power Pages, and as of today, Microsoft does not support that. And then I had to build my integration in a different way. But hopefully Microsoft kind of bakes that in, that you'll be able to use these virtual tables in different areas. So that'll be a great help.
That's what they're giving, right?
But you can't, as in if you create a Power Page against a virtual table, it doesn't allow you to use the virtual table at this moment. You can add any Dataverse actual table.
Yeah, but that's what they're going to provide, right? From November.
Hopefully. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, you haven't read it. Go to that list of issues.
Okay.
Go to the first top of the page. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not read it. See, yeah, this is people who have worked on Power Pages. It's a great way of having your data limitedly visible to the external parties. And till
And
now, it was
see
limited.
the last point in this page, in this section also. The last point in this
Power
section.
Page support also.
No, not on this
Oh,
page. The list.
on the list,
Yeah. Last point in this. Yeah.
settle virtual table fully support. Yeah, that I read. Virtual table fully support
Yeah.
on my Microsoft Data was, but I missed this one. Okay.
Yeah. From November, we can use it anywhere. And three things are giving: add, modify, and delete. So
When row is added, modified, or delete. Added, modified, or delete. Okay. Now this creates a lot of back and forth between the two systems using APIs, but hopefully this kind of bakes in the right way. Because from a sync perspective, anytime you change anything in the record, that updates that table in Dataverse based on the API engine.
yeah, and then you can write flows or whatever on the Power Apps. The user can actually update it from there, and immediately Business Central gets updated.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this one because that makes some of the integration pretty easy with the support of Power Pages with the virtual tables on Dataverse, because then it's pretty easy to kind of sync that data between the systems. Um, because there are different authentication method also available on Power Pages, which is pretty cool. I don't know how they will limit which user can access which table, because that's a licensing issue. But I'll not deal with it at this point. But yeah, that's very interesting that this is coming up. And if you haven't tried on your CDX for 60 days or something, Power Pages is free. It's pretty cool what you can do there. It's a website tool more or less where you can expose certain data from Dataverse. And now with this feature available from November, you'll directly be able to use a virtual entity or a Business Central table in Power Pages. Okay, a lot of talking today, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I was saying, next week we'll take it off, and then you'll get an invite now on for 7th October. And then I'll again have to take a break because I'm leaving for US in the next week after that for a week. But yeah, after that I'm here and we'll continue these every Saturdays.
Sure.
Okay then.
Great.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
It was
Thank you all.
great session.
Thanks. Okay. Tanya, you have something? Is it me?
Yeah, hi, good evening. So
Yeah, tell me.
there was thing with so you were discussing about data was right.
Yeah.
In the CRM part, I know that the Dataverse is a different thing. But what the CRM is doing actually is inserting record, like it's from the API basically. I have built an API, okay, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the getting the business center, but there are two entries in the table creating from the CRM,
And
and that's the basic CRM.
how you are configuring that
That's the Dataverse setup.
data was set up. So there are two parts of the equation. It Dataverse is a separate database altogether, right? But your CRM database also sits in the Dataverse. When you connect your business
Okay.
central to Dataverse, there are two parts of it. Okay. And I should actually
Okay.
give you a link of the playlist where I have shown it how you kind of build that connection. There, there is a complete series of 3-4 videos into the channel, but I'll send it to you. Okay. And
Okay.
if you're connecting to CRM, then you first set up Dataverse, and then you also set up the CRM connection. If you're just connecting to Dataverse, then you just create the Dataverse connection with Business Central. Okay. And based on your connection, if it is only Dataverse, it'll sync with the Dataverse entity. Otherwise, it'll sync with the CRM entity, and it'll never create two records. It's impossible, I guess. I don't think that'll happen. But let me see if this is the environment. You're breaking a lot. So what I'll do is I'll ping you on LinkedIn or somewhere, and I'll send you that. Have a look on it. Otherwise, we'll chat about it.
Can do some.
Because you, it seems
Andy?
the internet is weak.
Yeah, I will be fine.
I cannot hear you, Tanya. Maybe I'll give you a call later. Otherwise.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Okay, so if you are still here, thank you. And let us know if you learned something new into the comment sections of this video. And if there are any questions from this session, also let me know into the comments and we'll talk about it, as we always do. As I've already spoken in the meeting, I'll not be available next week. So all the recordings that are coming for this week are already queued up. I might not be able to share them on social media. You'll have to go ahead and watch them on YouTube channel directly. There's one important one coming in, which will tell you how ChatGPT can write your email bodies in Business Central. So have a look on the channel, at least on the Monday morning, where you'll be able to find that video. As I said, I'll try to share it if I get some time, but I doubt that next week I'll have some time. Stay connected, keep learning, and let us know what you feel about these meetings or other videos in the channel, and we'll keep doing what we are doing. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time with another video or the recording of this meeting. Thank you.